We want to move on to the topic of campaign finance, and again, these questions provided by our listeners. A listener wrote in and wanted to know how much money has been raised for your campaigns, how much have you expended so far, and who are the top 2 or 3 campaign donors to your campaigns? And we'll begin with Dan Mulbauer.
On that, I believe we have raised probably $10,000, 15, and we have a few different contributors that have donated like $1,000 a piece. Those would be probably our bigger ones. All my contributions so far have come from friends, neighbors, people that want to support what we are doing here. They support what I am doing. They think I have a good thought, and that's where our funding is coming from.
Could I interject here? How much money is the Democratic Party going to be spending on your mailings over the next 2 or 3 weeks?
I don't have the exact number on that for sure. I don't.
And Dan Dirks, again, how much money have you raised, your campaign expenses so far, and your top 2 or 3 campaign donors?
All this information is public record, so you can go, there's times that you have to give reports on how much you've raised, so it can all be found out. And we had a primary, so we had to raise money for the primary, and that was back in March, April, and May. We raised about $3,000 or $4,000 for that, and then through the summer, we've raised in excess of over $10,000, and the bulk of that was $25 at a time, $50 at a time. I had one donor at $1,000 and a couple donors at $500. The Republican Party has done a couple mailings, and that is all they've done, and we've got about 6 left, and we're going to be spending that in the next 2 weeks. And if anybody else would like to contribute, Dirk's House 51, where to send money. Thank you.
We want to move on now to economic development. Gentlemen, a question came in and said, if a community in District 51 was in discussions with a major national company coming to the area, would you push for the state incentives, or would you leave it to that community to try to sell themselves to that company? And we'll start this question off with Dan Dirks.
It would depend upon a lot of variables, depending on the amount of infrastructure they're going to bring with them, what they would be willing to commit, the amount of jobs. Obviously, I would want the state to get involved because we want to be friendly to industry to come into Iowa. I wouldn't want to pick favorites. I would want to make sure that they're not going to be taking a workforce away from existing business. The biggest part is how long is their commitment going to be and their infrastructure that they build. I'd be real cautious of giving them incentives so they could come in, set something up, take what they wanted, and then leave a big empty building. I would have to have a lot of variables involved, but I would see that at the state level, government would be in assistance with the local city government. So it'd be a combination of both.
Dealing with new companies coming in like that, the state needs to get involved, but also the county, we get involved, the city gets involved. We have tax abatements that we would work with on these programs. It is huge to help these companies get established, get started, get the new businesses running and going. The spin-offs of all these jobs is huge. So we would want to really work on a state level and a county level and a city level to do all we can with tax abatements and work with these programs and do what we can to assist them. These are added jobs to the community. This is what we really need.
Our next question asks, do you support the iJobs program here in the state of Iowa? And are there any projects in the Carroll area that you can name? And we'll begin with Dan Mulbauer.
iJobs, it was created before I was here, but yes, it was a time of crisis when they come up with iJob. It's insurance, bonds money is what it was. It was not a tax-raised money. And it did a lot of good things. What this iJob money did, it created new jobs. It helped communities in cities that had disaster areas. And it helped with infrastructure. And it helped with economic growth for the future. So iJobs has been a great deal. And I think that a program like this is really helpful. When our economy is down, we need to punch and help with this. And these iJobs hit all 99 counties of the state. So yes, it was touched here in Carroll as well.
I don't know of any local jobs that were actually created by iJobs. What I do know about iJobs is that they spent $800 million and they were supposed to have created in excess of 20,000 jobs, and on their numbers, they created 7,000, which I've read that some of those are pretty iffy, and then they financed it over 23 years. And I look at my family, and I see my children looking at paying for jobs that are supposedly supposed to be produced right now. They're going to be paying that bill in the form of taxation for the next 23 years. I don't think it was a good choice. I don't think the government is responsible for providing jobs. It's the government's responsibility to provide an environment where private industry can provide jobs. Thank you.
On this, I think this is a big area where Dan and I really differ. If you recall, just a week or so ago we were at a meeting discussing Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And over there they had flood. And this is what this money helped, was people in the flood. And Dirks come out and said, those people should be on their own. We should not help them. The poor are not losing as much as the rich. The rich should, they just have more to lose. That this iJobs money was a big swing. We cannot turn our backs on the citizens of Iowa. When we have opportunities like this, we have to help them. We have crises, we have to be there to help them. And Dirks was to turn his back.
Can I respond to that? Obviously, he's been reading the paper and not listening to the audio. Modern technology is wonderful. You can listen to all the audio from the Carroll Area Development Corporation. You can listen to the audio from the Rotary. You can listen to the audio when it gets too late for this to come in good. And I never said anything about Cedar Rapids. I simply made mention of money being spent to let people know that there's money available for those that are having needs for food in counties where there was flood ravage. I never mentioned Cedar Rapids, and I never said anything negative.
With the farming questions, that should be appropriate, that cowbell. Let's talk about immigration. There is a number of states, namely, of course, Arizona's been in the news a lot, that are discussing tough state immigration laws. Should Iowa follow suit, even though immigration has accounted for most of the state's population growth since the year 2000? And this question will go to Dan Dirks.
Well, as you know, I'm doing everything I can do to assist in the population growth. So we don't have to have people breaking in to the state of Iowa to get these jobs. Actually, I forgot your question.
Has to do with immigration. Should Iowa follow suit with tough immigration laws, even though the state's population growth has been mainly accounted for by immigration since the year 2000?
Yes, we need the people that are coming in, but we need them to be here legally. The codes need to be rewritten so that we can assist hardworking individuals, law-abiding individuals to come into the state of Iowa. And we need to do everything we can do to keep track of them once they get here. It's inevitable. We need more people to work. And when we cause them to have to be criminals to get here, just because somebody gets here, it's an ongoing problem and it needs to be dealt with. And I got an email the other night from a young lady whose husband went back to Mexico and tried to get a situation straightened out where he had been in the country for 10 years, hadn't had any brushes with the law, had been employed the whole time. He went back to Mexico and tried to do things the right way, and he's being banned from the United States for 10 years. These things need to be dealt with. There's people being hurt. Thank you.
First of all, to answer that question, we are not Arizona. Arizona has different problems than we have in this community right here. We do not have the immigration problem right here in Carroll County. What they are doing over there, they're taking their police force up and down the streets, checking illegals for papers and whatever. And we are not doing that. We do need our border patrols. We need to watch our borders for illegal immigration. But the biggest thing, if you truly want to stop illegal immigration in this country, you have to go to the CEOs who are hiring illegal immigrants and really penalize them. If you want to stop them, they will stop coming. That's where I'm at.